Okay, so here it is. It's time to talk. We're welcome to A Place to Talk and our chats about kind of who we are at A Place to Talk. I've kind of been doing some chats about our thinking, our theology, who we are, what we like, what we believe, why we're doing this, why does A Place to Talk exist. But today I want to talk to you about what is our authority. If it's not the Bible, what is it? I've kind of been thinking about three different ways to title this. One would be authority. If not the Bible, then what? Another title might be A Place to Talk is my authority, and it should be yours too. Whoa, that sounds like a cult leader, doesn't it? That sounds horrible. But I think you'll understand when I explain it to you in a minute. But let me give you one more title: The Magic of Mysticism. The Magic of Mysticism. Here's what was happening. Years ago, man, it might have been 15 plus years ago now. I was struggling with that concept of biblical authority and what the Bible meant and what the authority of the Bible was. And I was really praying about it. I was really seeking to hear the voice of God on why did the Bible say things that I just found wrong and offensive. In fact, I'm going to talk about three of those things today. But anyway, I'm thinking about it and I'm going, what's the answer here? And I felt like the Spirit of God was saying to me, it's in your text today. You're going to read it right now. Read it. I was reading through the Bible every year for a few years. And at that point, I was in, I believe it was 2 Samuel chapter 8. I want to say I read that chapter maybe 10 times, the entire chapter, because I was really trying to figure out what was going on in my spirit and in God's heart to me at that time. And man, I hate talking like this because it sounds like I don't want to say something that in any way paints me as an authority or paints me as different from you, because I think we all have the ability to hear from God. But I believe that day I was hearing something that would make a difference for all of my life. And I'm reading 2 Samuel chapter 8, and I'm reading it over and over and over. And I'm going, God, there is nothing in here about your authority. And this makes no sense. Why am I thinking the answer's here? And then I read it again. And I come to this line where it says something to the extent of Samuel, God saying to Samuel, they're not rejecting you, Samuel. They're rejecting me, just like they have been since the days I led them out of Egypt. And I went, oh, what I have here in the Bible is it's a record of the Jewish thought and the conversation with God's people, Israel, and that's this. It's a record of this communication. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that they're always doing what God tells them to do. So some of this stuff that's written here might just flat out be wrong. I want to give you three examples where I think that the Bible's just flat out wrong. And the reason, these three examples are part of the many reasons why I can't allow the Bible to be my authority. First reason, slavery. It's not condemned in the Bible. In fact, it's totally allowed. In Exodus 21, it's giving the laws for both Hebrew slaves and foreign slaves, but it doesn't condemn. It says when you buy a Hebrew slave, he'll serve for 6 years, and then in the seventh year he goes free. It goes on to say that if he came in as a single man, then he leaves as a single man. But if while he was there, or if he came in with a wife and he leaves, then he leaves with his wife. But if while he was there, the master gives him a wife and he has children, then the master gave him a wife and children and they stay. And the only way that he gets to stay with his wife and children is if he chooses to get his ear pierced with an awl or whatever that is. And it's a sign that he's a slave for life. In Leviticus 25, it talks about buying slaves. And it says, if one of your brothers, another Hebrew, has to sell himself into slavery, don't treat him like a slave. Treat him like a worker, like an employee. And then there's a place in Deuteronomy where it encourages slaves to be released in the seventh year, but it doesn't say anything about, just release all slaves in immediately, because slavery's wrong. It doesn't say that. You say, Josh, that's Old Testament. The New Testament condemns slavery, right? No, not really. In the New Testament, in Ephesians 6, it says the servants should respectfully obey your earthly masters. In Colossians, it says, slaves, obey them with sincerity, fearing the Lord. In 1 Timothy, it says slaves should respect their masters. In Titus, it says slaves to be subject and pleasing and not argumentative. So first of all, I cannot make the Bible my authority because of the way it treats slavery. Second, I can't make the Bible my authority because of the way it treats women. It's misogynistic. Misogyny, it's celebrated in the Bible, and I think it's wrong. In Exodus 20:17, in the Ten Commandments, it says you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Well, that's good, right? But it goes on to say don't covet anything that belongs to your neighbor, as if wives are property. In Deuteronomy 22, it says if a man rapes a virgin, he must repay her father. It doesn't say anything about what to do with him, and it doesn't say anything to do about how to, seek forgiveness of her. It says marry her. Could you imagine today if we said to women who had been raped, yeah, well, we're going to give your dad a couple $100, but you got to marry this monster. It's insane. In 1 Timothy, Paul writes that women should be quiet and in full submission. I want to see you men get that in your wedding vows. I mean, it's off. It's not right. Slavery, misogyny. Let me give you one more example. In Ezra chapter 10, there's this time when the children, some of the men of Israel, they had married foreign wives. And Ezra says, listen, the reason you are, being judged, part of the problem here is this marrying of foreign wives. You've been unfaithful to God. You've been unfaithful to Israel. And what you need to do is put out your wives. Just put them off. Divorce them. Abandon your children. And then you'll be right with God. That is insane. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly go over why I cannot make the Bible my authority. So now, Josh, what is your authority? What is A Place to Talk's authority? We're going to first of all start by laying a foundation of love. So I want you to picture a slingshot Polaris car. It's an automobile. It's kind of open. It's got two wheels in the front, one wheel in the back. It is not an off-road vehicle. It's made for driving on the road, the highway. It kind of looks like a toy, but it's an on-road vehicle. I want you to always remember that the road that we have to drive on is love. Every single thing about our journey has to be informed by and guided by love. So first, authority, love. Second, authority. We need to admit to ourselves and to one another that a lot of our decision making and a lot of our journey is going to be driven by that rear tire that drives the Polaris slingshot. In my illustration, that rear tire is going to be experience and reason. So the second thing is I have to recognize that everything that I do is going to be driven by my personal experiences and my reasoning ability. There's nothing wrong with making decisions based on reasoning. You should reason. Isaiah says, come, let us reason together. That's going to move us into our third wheel, into our second wheel, our third point here. Remember, first point is the road. The road is love. We're always going to stay on the road of love. Second thing, we're driven by reason and experience. But Isaiah says, come, let us reason together. That's why in the beginning I said, your authority should be a place to talk. My authority is a place to talk. And what I mean by that is not a church, not this institution that we call a place to talk, but the concept of people reasoning together. People of faith who want to do right, who want to be on the path of love, they talk, they communicate, they ask each other questions. You should allow people that have a like-minded intention of following love and following the Spirit of God, you should allow them to be a voice, somebody you talk to, you think with. Now, if they say things that you think are totally off and totally insane, then you probably need to get a new place to talk. You need to get a new community. But if your community is saying to you, hey, think that through, that sounds like a bad idea, you should let their ideas have some authority in your life. You should let them have some sway in your decision making. So we're on that paved road, paved with love. We're driven by reason and experience. We're reasoning together with other people that we love in our place where we talk together. And the third will is mysticism. It's that idea that God speaks to our heart. It's that conscience inside of us. In Isaiah 30:21, it says, whether you turn to the right or the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you. It's this spirit inside of you. It's the Spirit of God. It's the Holy Spirit that's guiding you. Maybe if I wanted to say this in a way that would be more acceptable, more approvable, you would say, road of love, driven by your tradition, but I'm going to call it reason and experience. Some of it's decided by your faith community. I would say that instead of a place to talk if I wanted to make it more palatable for people of faith. And then the Holy Spirit instead of mysticism. But mysticism just means that we believe God still speaks, and he speaks through the Holy Spirit. And so those are the four pillars or the road and the three wheels that I would call my authority. Jeremiah 31:33 through 34 says this. This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel. Now, when I think of Israel, I'm not thinking of a nation. I'm not thinking of a place over there in the Middle East. I'm thinking about a people who are struggling with God, like Jacob was when he was renamed Israel. It's a people wrestling with God. So this is the covenant I will make with my people, the people wrestling with me, that after that time, declares the Lord, I will put my law in their minds. I will write it on their hearts. I will be their God and they will be my people. No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, know the Lord, because they will all know me, from the least to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their wickedness and remember their sin no more. So what is our authority? What is my authority? What do I think should be everyone's authority? It should be a road that's paved with love, a will that is driven by reason and experience, and you're going to reason together with other people of faith. That's the other will. And then mysticism. Let the Spirit of God guide you. So the Spirit of God and your community, they're going to guide you. It's almost like when the letters were written from the apostles and they were sent to the churches, and the churches would read them together. So it's this message that's kind of coming from God, and we're kind of wrestling with it together. And that is our authority. That is our God. And hey, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, follow this, and stay tuned as we're working towards that time when we're going to be out walking through every red letter in the Bible. And we're going to talk about all those things that we believe Jesus might have said. And we're going to talk about those together. So I'd love for you to stay on this journey of love with us. And let's see where it takes us.